Hello, I'm Dr. Evelyn Reed. For over 30 years, my passion and my life's work have been rooted in preventive medicine and the health of our senior community here in the United States. In my practice, I've learned that sometimes the biggest impacts on our long-term health come not from complex treatments, but from the simple, everyday choices we make in our own homes. Today, I want to talk to you, not just as a doctor, but as someone who genuinely cares about your well-being. We are going to discuss something that sits right in the heart of your kitchen, the refrigerator. We see it as an essential ally, a tool to keep our food fresh and safe, and most of the time, it is. However, there's a crucial aspect of food storage that often goes overlooked. The very same natural, wholesome foods we buy to nourish our bodies can, under the wrong storage conditions, become less beneficial and in some cases, even pose a risk to our health. This isn't meant to cause alarm, but to empower you with knowledge, because when we know better, we can do better. Let's break down the risks associated with improper food storage, especially in the cold environment of your fridge. The first risk, the silent loss of nutrients when you buy fresh produce like vibrant bell peppers, crisp broccoli, or leafy spinach, buying them for their rich content of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. These are the compounds that protect our cells, support our immune system, and give us energy. However, many of these essential nutrients are quite delicate. When certain fruits and vegetables are stored at incorrect refrigerator temperatures, a process of degradation begins. Vitamins like vitamin C and certain B vitamins are particularly vulnerable to cold and light. The food might still look edible on the outside, but on a microscopic level, its nutritional value is diminishing day by day. Over time, a diet consisting of nutrient-depleted foods can leave your body without the tools it needs to function optimally, potentially leading to fatigue, a weakened immune response, and slower healing. It's like putting diluted fuel in a high-performance engine. Eventually, the performance will suffer. The second, more serious risk, the production of dangerous toxins. This is a point I emphasize with all my patients. Certain foods undergo chemical changes when refrigerated that can lead to the formation of harmful substances. The most well-documented example of this involves starchy foods, particularly potatoes. When you store raw potatoes in the refrigerator, the cold temperature triggers an enzyme to break down their starches into sugars, specifically reducing sugars. You might not taste the difference, but when these sugar-laden potatoes are later cooked at high temperatures like frying, baking, or roasting, these sugars can combine with an amino acid called asparagine to form a chemical called acrylamide. Is a substance that agencies like the National Toxicology Program and the International Agency for Research on Cancer have classified as a probable human carcinogen. This means that long-term exposure may increase the risk of developing certain types of cancer. The simple act of storing a potato in a cool, dark pantry instead of the refrigerator can significantly reduce the formation of this compound. This principle also applies to other starchy items like onions and garlic, which lose their texture and health properties in the cold, moist environment of a fridge. Beyond acrylamide, improper storage can also encourage the growth of molds, which can produce mycotoxins, toxic compounds that can cause a range of health issues from acute poisoning to long-term effects like immune deficiency. The third risk, the link to chronic disease. This is where the consequences of these small daily habits become most apparent over a lifetime. The risks we've just discussed, nutrient loss and toxin formation, don't exist in a vacuum. They contribute to a broader state of stress on the body that can pave the way for chronic illnesses, metabolic disorders, and diabetes. When your diet is consistently lacking in essential nutrients, your body's intricate metabolic processes can be disrupted. This can affect how your body manages blood sugar, potentially increasing the long-term risk of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Furthermore, a diet that inadvertently contains inflammatory compounds puts an extra burden on your metabolic system. Increased cancer risk. As we discussed with acrylamide, chronic exposure to certain foodborne toxins is a recognized risk factor for cancer. While no single food will cause or prevent cancer, our overall dietary pattern is a cornerstone of prevention. Minimizing our exposure to potential carcinogens, wherever possible, is a prudent and powerful step in protecting our future health. Overall systemic inflammation. Many chronic diseases, from heart disease to arthritis, have a common underlying factor: chronic inflammation. A diet that is poor in protective antioxidants and potentially high in toxins from improperly stored food can fuel this low-grade inflammation throughout the body, silently contributing to disease progression over the years. We'll walk through that list of top 7 foods that are frequently stored incorrectly and discuss the simple, science-backed methods to keep them safe and nutritious. Knowledge is the best prescription, so let's begin. Number 1. Raw potatoes. This is perhaps the most critical one. The problem with refrigerating raw potatoes is twofold. First, as we discussed, the cold temperature converts the potato's starch into sugar. When you later cook these potatoes at high temperatures, anything above 120 degrees Celsius or 250 degrees Fahrenheit, which includes most roasting, frying, or baking, this excess sugar combines with an amino acid to form As a physician, I must stress that long-term exposure to acrylamide is linked to an increased risk of several cancers, including ovarian, endometrial, kidney, and esophageal cancer. Secondly, the humid environment of the refrigerator causes potatoes to spoil faster, promoting the growth of mold and bacteria. The doctor's prescription safe storage, a cool, dark and dry place with good ventilation, is a potato's best friend. Think of a pantry or a cellar. Store them in a paper bag, a cloth bag, or a basket, never in a sealed plastic bag, which traps moisture. When cooking, try to keep temperatures below 180 degrees Celsius, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and consider boiling or steaming. If you do roast them, leaving the skin on provides more fiber and nutrients. Number 2. Tomatoes. So many people put tomatoes in the fridge, thinking they're preserving them. In reality, you're sacrificing both flavor and health benefits. The cold damages the delicate membranes inside the tomato, which results in that mealy, bland texture. More importantly, from a health perspective, the cold halts the natural ripening process. A key part of ripening is the production of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that gives tomatoes their red color. Lycopene is a superstar for our health. It helps protect our cells from aging, supports heart health, reduces inflammation, and has been shown to lower the risk of certain cancers. By refrigerating an underripe tomato, you are stopping the production of this vital nutrient. The doctor's prescription: keep your tomatoes on the counter, out of direct sunlight. If you want to speed up ripening, place them near a banana or an apple. The ethylene gas these fruits emit is a natural ripening agent. And a quick safety note: avoid eating the very green parts of a tomato, as they can contain a toxic alkaloid called solanine. Number 3. Bread. This may surprise you. Putting bread in the refrigerator is one of the fastest ways to make it go stale. The cold temperature accelerates a process called retrogradation, where the starch molecules recrystallize and force moisture out of the bread, leaving it dry, tough, and flavorless. The humidity in the fridge can also encourage mold growth. The doctor's prescription: for short-term use 1 to 2 days, keep your bread in an airtight container, a bread box, or a cloth bag at room temperature. For long-term storage, the freezer is your best ally. Freezing bread and then toasting it actually changes some of its structure into resistant starch. This type of starch acts like a prebiotic fiber in your gut, aiding digestion and helping to balance blood sugar by slowing its release. A significant benefit for everyone, especially those managing metabolic health. Number 4. Avocados. The creamy texture and healthy fats in avocados are what make them so wonderful. However, refrigerating an unripe avocado is a recipe for disappointment. The cold will halt the ripening process completely, leaving you with a hard, rubbery fruit that lacks flavor and has not fully developed its nutritional profile. The doctor's prescription: allow avocados to ripen at room temperature. To speed this up, place them in a paper bag, perhaps with a banana or apple. Once an avocado is perfectly ripe, it yields to gentle pressure. You can then place it in the refrigerator to slow further ripening, but for no more than 2 days. For longer storage, you can mash or slice the avocado, add a little lemon juice, and freeze it for up to 6 months, perfect for smoothies. Number 5. Bananas. The cold temperature of the fridge causes enzymes in the banana peel to darken quickly, but more importantly, it stops the fruit inside from ripening properly, leading to a mushy texture and a less pleasant taste. For those of us monitoring our blood sugar, it's also important to note that very overripe bananas have a higher glycemic index as their starches have turned to simple sugars. This leads to a faster release of sugar into the bloodstream. causing glucose and insulin spikes, which over time can contribute to fat storage and metabolic strain. The doctor's prescription: keep bananas at room temperature. To slow down ripening, you can wrap the stems in plastic wrap. If they become too ripe, don't throw them away. Peel and freeze them. Frozen bananas are fantastic for making creamy, healthy ice cream, or for adding to smoothies. Number 6. Garlic. Garlic will often sprout in the refrigerator, which makes it bitter and less potent. This sprouting process diminishes its most beneficial compound, allicin, which is responsible for many of garlic's anti-inflammatory and cardiovascular benefits. More critically, there is a severe safety risk I must warn you about. Never store minced garlic in oil at room temperature. This low-oxygen environment is perfect for the growth of Clostridium bactillanum, the bacteria that causes botulism, a rare but potentially fatal illness. The doctor's prescription: store whole garlic bulbs in a cool, dark and dry place with good airflow. If you've chopped more than you need, it's safest to freeze it or store it in vinegar in the refrigerator. Number 7. Honey. Finally, honey. Honey is one of nature's most resilient foods and does not need refrigeration. The cold temperature will cause it to crystallize and harden, making it very difficult to use. While you can warm it to return it to a liquid state, overheating honey can destroy the beneficial enzymes and antioxidants that make it more than just a simple sugar. The doctor's prescription: store honey in its sealed container in your pantry at room temperature. It will last indefinitely. And a final health note: while natural, honey is still a sugar. Excessive intake carries the same risks as refined sugar. It will spike insulin and, if not used for energy, contribute to fat gain. Use it judiciously. So, we've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? We've journeyed through the aisles of the grocery store and back into our own kitchens, looking at some of the most common foods with a fresh, more informed perspective. Let's quickly recap the 7 friends we talked about, the ones that truly prefer the pantry over the cold confines of the refrigerator. Raw potatoes, tomatoes, bread, unripped avocado, bananas, garlic, and finally, honey. Now, the most important point I want to leave you with is one of understanding. For most people, the instinct to refrigerate these foods comes from a good place, a desire to preserve our food, to be responsible, and to ensure nothing goes to waste. It's an action taken with the best of intentions, often thinking it's the healthiest choice. However, as we've learned today, sometimes our best intentions can lead to unintended consequences. For these specific foods, refrigeration doesn't extend their life or their health benefits. Instead, it often does the opposite. It can degrade the very quality we seek to preserve, robbing food of its flavor, creating unpleasant textures, and, most critically, diminishing its vital nutrient content. In some cases, as with potatoes, it can even inadvertently create compounds that, over the long term, may pose a risk to our health. But here is the wonderful, empowering truth. Correcting this is incredibly simple. We are not talking about drastic, expensive, or time-consuming changes to your lifestyle. We are talking about small, mindful adjustments in our daily habits. It's the simple swap of placing your tomato bowl on the counter instead of the crisper drawer. It's choosing the pantry for your potatoes and the freezer for your bread. It's allowing your avocados and bananas to ripen naturally, just as nature intended. These small changes carry profound benefits. By making these adjustments, you are actively choosing to protect nutrients. You ensure that every bite you take is as packed with the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants your body needs to thrive. Improved taste. You will rediscover the true, vibrant flavors of your food, the sweetness of a room temperature tomato, the creamy texture of a perfectly ripened avocado, and most importantly, safeguard your long-term health. This is the cornerstone of preventive medicine. These simple habits are a form of proactive, preventive self-care. You are reducing your exposure to potentially harmful compounds, supporting your metabolic health, and providing your body with the best possible building blocks to maintain its resilience for years to come. It's about making our kitchens true sanctuaries of health and nourishment. My sincere hope is that this conversation has armed you with the confidence and knowledge to make these small but powerful changes. If you found this discussion valuable, and I hope you did, please consider giving this video a like. It helps others who are seeking reliable health information find this content. And if you believe someone you care about, a friend, a parent, a neighbor, could benefit from this knowledge, please share it. Spreading good information is a collective act of care for our community's well-being. Thank you for putting your trust in me today. Be well and take good care.